You probably clicked on this video because you saw the thumbnail in how to grow a green thumb, and I'm here with a super top secret plant fertilizer answer. And the best way to grow a green thumb is by setting up a fish tank. It sounds super crazy, super weird. I feel like the plant industry doesn't really talk a lot about it, and I'm here to say that for the past few years, I've only watered all my plants with plant fertilizer, and I started an outdoor garden with just that. I myself did not think I had a green thumb at all. One of the biggest things that I can attribute to actually having now an indoor garden is from the fact that I exclusively water all my plants with fish tank water. And that's it, nothing else. If you can keep a goldfish alive, you can keep a plant alive. And what I mean by that is the wastewater from a goldfish tank is super nutrient dense and can be the best fertilizer for your plants. Basically, if you're feeding your fish a great fish food, that fish food then turns into fish poop, which is pretty much gold for a plant. I myself wouldn't have ever imagined how wonderful it truly is. When I first moved in with Dwayne, I decided to decorate our apartment with just plants because I was looking to be minimalistic but also have like a feng shui to our home. And I can honestly say that I killed our first few plants. I killed an anthurium, I killed a zebra plant, and I also killed, I don't remember, but I killed a lot of them. Alright, so a little history lesson. Although aquaponics sounds like a fairly new term, it's actually not a new concept. In the 1970s, the term aquaponics was created, but the concept itself roots back to ancient Aztecs and Mayans, where they would take raft systems on top of swampland to create all kinds of veggies. In Mother Earth magazine, I had found a homemade plant fertilizer recipe, which was a pretty large amount that I wasn't able to keep in my house. So I tried to scale it down and just did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and tried to keep the ratios similar to what it was recommending, but on a smaller scale. And I watered my plants with the fertilizer that they had created the article on, and burned all my plants. Nothing against them. It was completely my fault. I didn't follow the exact measurements that they had provided, but I really was like, okay, I want to do something sustainable where I can just make my own plant fertilizer. It was super inspiring for me after reading that article that I could do it myself, and I knew that aquaponics was a thing, that plants really didn't need a whole lot other than what you could find in a pond or a lake, or in our case a fish tank. And we weren't working with a whole lot. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment originally, and I wanted to create an indoor jungle. I myself love looking at interior design catalogs and ads and Instagram posts and Pinterest boards where people have all this feng shui in their home, including plants, and I was looking for something that was beautiful but didn't really require a lot of care. So I started getting creative and taking the fish tank water that we already had, and instead of dumping it down the drain when we would do a water change, I started taking it and watering my plants and realizing that I wasn't killing them at all, and weirdly enough, they were actually flourishing. And I'm here to tell you, if you have a black thumb and you feel like everything that you touch dies, then try setting up a fish tank. The waste that's produced by the goldfish, or any fish for that matter, is beneficial to the plants. One of the most underrated fertilizers in the plant world that I think exists is fish tank water. In fact, if you read a lot of the labels of fertilizers sold at hydroponic stores, sold at Lowe's, Home Depot, I love Armstrong's Garden Center, they all have great organic options, and actually a lot of the ingredients listed on the label for their fertilizers are things that you find in a fish tank because of the food that you feed them, which then gets pooped out by the fish and made available for great plant absorption. And a weird random fact is that the very same things that are toxic to the fish that can actually kill them are actually what a plant needs to survive. So they create this great symbiotic relationship where you have the plants absorbing all the bad things and then basically inputting back into the system clean water. Now, not everyone wants to do aquaponics. For me, myself, I was new to the game up until a few years ago. I had heard about it, heard about all the benefits of it, and for me, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. You can have a fish tank and have plants. And basically what aquaponics is where you have plants absorbing nutrients from your fish system to clean out the water and then recircle it back to the fish, who then have a great healthy environment. Because I'm such like a hippie and want to like make my own foods from scratch, do everything organically. For me, when I started taking up interest in indoor plants, it was really more so about understanding what plants needed from me to be a good plant mom. So when you maintain an aquarium, proper aquarium care requires you to do periodic water changes. What happens is over time, as your fish produce more and more waste, it actually becomes toxic to them unless you have some kind of grow bed or aquatic plant system set up to absorb those very nutrients that the fish are producing. In a lot of cases, a water change is the perfect way to take out that wasteful byproduct that the fish create. So what's in the fish tank water that makes it so beneficial for plants? There's phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, not to mention there's tons of trace minerals and microorganisms. Those microorganisms contain beneficial bacteria, but also two things like for us, we add mycorrhizae into our system, which is a fungus that helps in root development. I've been doing research. It also helps your plants in periods of drought, which is awesome. So if you're a plant parent and you can't water on a very strict schedule of once a week, sometimes you can go 2. I've even pushed it to 3 weeks before watering or in between waterings, and my plants have survived, which is awesome. Repurposing, reinventing, and sustainability seem to be hot topics for 2020, and I can only imagine that that will translate into 2021. For me, it was really important to kind of get the word out about how beneficial an aquarium could be within a home, because you can not only water indoor plants with it and create flourishing, nourishing plants, but also you can translate that into an outdoor garden. We ourselves have never had an outdoor garden for food production and created one this past summer, starting everything from seed, and I am so happy with the results. So if you feel like you just kill every plant that you touch, consider setting up an aquarium, because I really feel that if you can keep a healthy goldfish, that will translate into a healthy plant. I suspect that there's a hole in the market when it comes to plant care, whether it's indoors or outdoors, in the fact that you see all these places advertising at local garden stores and big box stores the best fertilizer there is for a plant. You don't need any of that. Just set yourself up a fish tank, and that's truly all you'll need for liquid gold on any plant that may come across your path.